Hi, it's Chris with Sanderson Test Prep, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at question 6 from section 3 of SAT Practice Test 10. So if you're looking at the big blue book, the official SAT study guide, this is going to be actually the first practice test that shows up in that book. So although it is practice 10, it's the first practice test that you see. This question comes from page 334, and we see x squared minus 1 over x minus 1 equals negative 2. Now this is a great example of a question where we want to really appreciate the value in understanding question difficulty, because the math is the one section where we can use that to our advantage quite significantly. So question 6 out of 15 multiple choice questions, although this looks pretty complex algebraically, we want to interpret this to ourselves as to say that, well, if it's question 6 out of 15, then this should be a relatively easy question because we're still in the first half of our questions of this multiple choice portion of section 3, and they're probably not going to ask us to reach too far mathematically into some of the more complex concepts that we'll see later on. So if we looked at this and we wanted to answer it algebraically, that's absolutely okay, and I'll show you an algebraic depiction of this. A lot of us read this question and go, okay, well, x squared minus 1, this is factorable. It's a difference of squares that could factor into x plus 1 and x minus 1. And if you divide that by x minus 1, then you could potentially eliminate those and get x plus 1 equals negative 2. Subtract the 1 and get x equals negative 3 as your solution. And if you can do that and you can see that question algebraically and solve for it that quickly, then you're going to be in great shape. But if you didn't look at this and naturally recognize that as a difference of squares, then let's take a look at the way we could evaluate our answer choices to approach this a little bit easier mathematically. Now, most students report that they are far more comfortable with numbers than variables. So as a general rule of thumb, if you can answer anything numerically as opposed to algebraically, you're going to be in good shape. So let's see what this would look like if we tried to answer this numerically by testing out our answer choices. So if we try to plug in each answer choice, for A, if you plug in a negative 3 for x into your original, you'd have negative 3 squared minus 1 over negative 3 minus 1 equals negative 2. Negative 3 squared. Now when you're squaring a negative number, that means times itself. So negative 3 times negative 3 would give us a positive 9 minus 1. And negative 3 minus 1 would give us negative 4. Some of you can already see it, but if you do 9 minus 1, you get 8 over negative 4, which is negative 2. And when you do the math on that, you get negative 2 equals negative 2. 8 over negative 4 is negative 2. That does in fact work out. So we know that negative 3 is an answer choice, which means we have to pick an answer that includes negative 3. That leaves us with A and D as possibilities. And now we could test out negative 1 for our remaining answer. And so if you test out negative 1, we'll do that down here. So you could do negative 1 squared minus 1 over negative 1 minus 1 equals negative 2. Negative 1 squared is a positive 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0. Negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2. And if we have 0 divided by anything, so hopefully we know that that comes out to be 0. 0 over anything equals 0, and 0 is not equal to negative 2, so we can eliminate that as an option and go ahead and pick answer choice A and be done with our question. So if you're comfortable with the algebra, I always want to emphasize that that's great and something we can definitely utilize. However, if you're not as comfortable with the algebra, don't worry about it, because you can still approach this question really effectively and probably even faster if you're plugging in these values, because the math on this isn't that bad. For more, please stay tuned and check out our explanations to the other questions from this practice test. Thanks for watching.